People always ask me what led me to inquire into Zen and why do I have such intrigue over the teachings of Zen. Well, what happened was one day I was driving in the car with a man that I had met from Switzerland, and we were working on a project to raise funds for underprivileged people in Africa. And I said to him, well, let's go out for a meal. And he says, well, I'm vegetarian. And I said, oh, why are you vegetarian? He says, well, it's a long story. And I said, well, we had a 2-hour drive. And I said, tell me the story. He said, well, I used to be a manager, a very senior position at a very large group of hotels, and was at the top of my industry. And then I started getting headaches and some pain in my head, and I went for a test, and they found that I have a tumor in my brain. And the tumor was the size of the tennis ball. And they said, if we don't operate on this tumor immediately, you will die. He said, fine, let's see what we need to do. So he booked himself into the hospital, and before he went in under the knife, the doctor said, well, I have to tell you a couple of things. Firstly, when we take the tumor out, there's a strong chance you'll lose all your memories. And secondly, there's a strong chance you may lose your eyesight, but you will be saved. We hope that you will survive this. No guarantees. He sat there on the bed, lying on the bed that to be operated on, and he said something just arose in me, and he got up from the operating bed before he went in for surgery. And the nurses and doctors said, where are you going? You can't do this. You have to go in. And he says, I don't know, I need to go. So he got up and he's left, and as he was leaving, he saw the doctor. The doctor said, you don't understand, do you? If you don't do this operation, you will die. I don't think you know, you don't have a choice. Either way, he just got out of there. He went to meet a friend of his who practiced meditation and said, look, can I meet with your teacher? I just want to ask him some questions. So he went to meet with this Zen master, or this teacher of the Zen practice of meditation. And his friend introduced him and said, hi, this is my friend. He's got some questions for you. So the Zen master said, well, what's up? And he said, well, I've just been given a diagnosis that I have 3 months to live. And the Zen master said, you lucky bastard. How lucky are you? We're still going to be around here. You're going to be gone in 3 months. You're so lucky. This infuriated him, the lack of empathy that this master had for him. Either way, he went home, very upset about it, sitting there without any options, not knowing what to do. He went back to meet with the Zen master again. He went to see the Zen master and said, look, all right, what do I need to do? The Zen master said, I'm going to send you to meet a friend of mine in Japan, and you do exactly what he says. He had no other option. He followed his instinct. He got onto a flight to Japan, ended up at the Zen monastery. The man said, we've been expecting you. He said, this is what you need to do. Change into these clothes. Over there's a wooden cabin. You go into the wooden cabin, and we will feed you 3 times a day. No internet, no telephone, no newspaper, no television, no phone calls. Once a day you can go for a walk, but other than that, you spend 10 hours a day in that little hut of yours. Well, this terrified him. He told me how painful it was, not the physical pain, but sitting there, doing nothing, having to listen to his thoughts and his mind. And he did that for 3 months, just being fed the food 3 times a day, and he could go for a walk once a day. Stayed there 10 hours a day for 3 months. After that, the man said, you can leave now. So he left, returned back to Switzerland, where he was from, and he went for another scan. They didn't find any sign of tumor whatsoever. The tumor had miraculously disappeared, and as we were driving, I couldn't even concentrate on the road. I was just so amazed at this conversation and the outcome of this. And I always had the idea of meditation and spiritual practice to be something reserved for people that want to reach some great spiritual state. And at that point in my life, I was just more simply interested in making money and making a name for myself and succeeding as my career. When I found out the impact that thoughts and emotions can have on us, and how meditation or sitting and observing can change not just your spiritual station, if that's no interest to you, but has a direct physical impact on your well-being. And of course, being a practical man myself back then, I said, well, I got to start practicing this, because if for nothing else, it'll keep me in good shape. Because all these thoughts and emotions that are not being processed are somehow affecting me. And so that's what led me on my journey, out of a need to discover myself more, to learn to be well within myself. And the journey led on to wonderful avenues, and nourished my life in ways I never could have imagined.